In a stunning turn of events, thousands of U.S. troops have landed in Puerto Rico following President Donald Trump's announcement of a massive military deployment. The operation is described as a strategic move to secure America's Caribbean stronghold and to crack down on international drug trafficking routes.
Residents of San Juan were shocked as military convoys rolled through major streets, helicopters hovered overhead, and naval ships docked at Puerto Rican ports. Some compared the atmosphere to a wartime mobilization not seen since World War II.
Trump declared during a rally, "Puerto Rico is part of America. We will protect it with strength, and we will not allow chaos or weakness to take root." While Trump supporters hailed the move as bold leadership, critics warned it could escalate tensions and militarize the daily lives of Puerto Ricans. Donald Trump's decision to send thousands of U.S. troops to Puerto Rico has raised eyebrows across the world. Far more than a routine security measure, analysts say it is a carefully calculated move that blends political ambition, military strategy, and international posturing.
Puerto Rico has long been a key point in the Caribbean for both trade and smuggling routes. By reinforcing the island with ground troops, naval vessels, and air power, Trump appears to be positioning Puerto Rico as a forward operating base for U.S. influence. Some experts argue the deployment is aimed at deterring drug cartels and securing maritime borders, while others believe it's a warning shot at global rivals. With China and Russia increasing their presence in the region, Trump's message is clear: America will not cede the Caribbean.
For Puerto Ricans, however, the show of force has revived painful memories of past U.S. military occupations. Tanks on city streets and warships at harbor have left many residents wondering if they are being protected or occupied.
Though federal officials insist the deployment is meant to protect the island from drug cartels and external threats, the reality for Puerto Ricans is stark. Military patrols in the streets, checkpoints near neighborhoods, and the constant hum of fighter jets overhead. Donald Trump's decision to send thousands of troops to Puerto Rico has not only stirred domestic debate, but also drawn sharp international reactions.
Cuba denounced the move as a dangerous provocation in the Caribbean, while Venezuela accused the U.S. of new imperialism. European Union leaders expressed concern, calling for Washington to clarify its true intentions behind the massive deployment. Geopolitical analysts believe Trump's maneuver goes beyond domestic security. By fortifying Puerto Rico, the U.S. is effectively transforming the island into a giant military hub, capable of projecting power across the entire region. As the world watches, Puerto Rico has become the front line in a new contest of global influence, one where the people of the island remain caught between Washington's ambitions and their own struggle for normalcy. Trump's troop surge in Puerto Rico, a political masterstroke or reckless gamble? Donald Trump's decision to send thousands of U.S. troops to Puerto Rico is not just a military maneuver, it's also a political gamble with far-reaching implications. Analysts argue the move is part of Trump's broader narrative of America First strength, reinforcing his image as a leader willing to deploy overwhelming force to protect U.S. territories. Supporters believe this bold action could rally his base, showcasing Trump as a commander-in-chief unafraid of confrontation. Critics, however, warn that such militarization risks alienating Puerto Ricans, many of whom already feel like second-class citizens within the United States. By turning the island into a militarized zone, Trump could be fueling resentment rather than loyalty. The question remains, is this troop surge a show of strength that secures America's borders, or a reckless move that destabilizes one of its own territories? Puerto Rico's economy has struggled for years, weighed down by debt, hurricanes, and political uncertainty. Now, with thousands of U.S. troops arriving on its shores, the island faces a new challenge: the economic and social ripple effects of militarization. On one hand, local businesses may benefit from the sudden influx of troops. Restaurants, hotels, and suppliers could see a boost. On the other hand, ordinary citizens are already reporting higher tensions, traffic disruptions from military convoys, and increased surveillance.
Sociologists warn that Puerto Rico's fragile recovery from past disasters could be undermined if residents feel their daily lives are overshadowed by soldiers, checkpoints, and military hardware. Instead of stability, the deployment could bring uncertainty and fear.
The arrival of thousands of U.S. troops in Puerto Rico is not without precedent. For over a century, the island has played a key role in America's military strategy in the Caribbean. From naval bases in the early 1900s to Cold War listening posts, Puerto Rico has long been treated as a strategic outpost rather than a self-governing community. The most infamous example came in Vieques, where decades of U.S. Navy bombing drills sparked protests that eventually forced the military to leave in 2003.
Now, Trump's deployment raises fresh fears that Puerto Rico is once again being used as a forward base for U.S. ambitions, with little regard for the voices of its people. Historians warn that the current troop surge could reignite old wounds and lead to renewed calls for Puerto Rican sovereignty or even independence.
Officially, Trump has framed the troop deployment as a crackdown on drug cartels and smuggling routes that run through the Caribbean into the U.S. mainland. Military officials say Puerto Rico's location makes it the ideal hub for counter-narcotics operations. Indeed, cartel activity in the Caribbean has surged in recent years, with Puerto Rico often serving as a transit point for cocaine shipments bound for Florida and the East Coast. However, skeptics question whether a deployment of thousands of troops is truly necessary for counter-narcotics. They argue such a massive show of force looks more like a political statement than a practical solution. The debate underscores a critical question. Is Trump genuinely securing Puerto Rico against criminal networks, or is he using the island as a stage to project American power?